Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to UMaine Witter Farm Virtual Chat. I am Brittany with the Discover Dairy Program, and we are so excited that you're joining us today as we get to meet Farmer Patricia and, of course, your adorable adopted calves, Winona and Tina. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 43,000 classes and 1.7 million students joined the fund for free this year, thanks to our generous supporters like the Maine Dairy Nutrition Council and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. If you'd like to join the fun again next year, registration and re-enrollment will open on May 1st. That's this week, May 1st. You can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, and there you can either log in and re-enroll if you're returning, or if you're new, go ahead and create an account and get started. Next, today's event is live and that chat is open on YouTube and on Facebook. We're excited to hear from you, and I know Farmer Patricia is excited to answer your questions. Now, before we go over to Farmer Patricia, let's see who is joining us today. So let's hop to the top of that chat, and it looks like Miss Anderson from Hamden, Maine was one of the first ones to join us today. So hello and good afternoon. We are so excited to have you. We've got folks from Brewer, from Hamden, Eddington, Mrs. Bellinger from Ashland. We have Miss Dungley from Hollowell. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got folks from Biddeford Primary. Hello. Let's see, we've got Dorigo Elementary in Peru, Maine. Hello, all. We're excited to have you. Let's see, we've got two classes at Margaret Chase Smith School in Sanford, Maine, who are listening in. Hello, we're so excited that you've decided to join us today. Folks from Bethel, Maine, Waldoboro. How about we go down here a little bit further? We've got some folks from Troy Elementary. We have folks from Bloomsfield Elementary School and in Augusta. And let's do one more, Mrs. Ladd's class in Dixfield, Maine. So hello all. Thank you so much for joining us. I know there's many more of you that have shared where you're from. We are so excited to have you on board, and I know you're excited to meet Farmer Patricia and your calves. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce you to Farmer Patricia. Hey, Farmer Patricia, how are you doing today?
Hi, good. How are you?
Oh, we are doing so well. Thank you so much for making time today for us to come and join you at the farm and, of course, eventually get to see how our girls are doing. But Farmer Patricia, I'd love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself, talk a little bit about who you are, the farm, and just give us some background.
My name's Patricia Henderson. So I am the farm superintendent here at the University of Maine Witter Farm. So we are not like your average family dairy farm. We are part of the university. We are one of 5 of the experiment stations within the College of School of Food and Ag. So we basically get to teach college students all about dairy science and equine science and all kinds of fun things before they go on to vet school and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. I love that. So there's a lot of probably, so how many employees, student employees do you have at the farm?
Oh gosh, this semester we probably have at least a dozen student employees, plus another 25 students enrolled in the dairy tech class. We have another 50 or so students in our main animal club, and then we have various other classes that also utilize the farm. So there's a little over 200 students every semester here that get to participate and play with the cows and horses here.
Wow. So this farm really serves as an amazing opportunity for, I mean, not only you to get to do what you love to do, but also for these students to get to experience an operating dairy farm, get hands-on experience, and prepare them for their future career, which is very cool. I mean, like you said, unique and different compared to a typical family farm, but just as important because we need future farmers and future vets and future people who've taken care of our animals. So very cool. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. What's your background, Farmer Patricia? Did you have to go to school to have this role, or what's your experience?
Yeah, so I grew up in Aroostook County, which is kind of at the top half of the state of Maine. I grew up on a small beef farm, showed cows, and always had a love for agriculture. And I definitely thought I was going to go to vet school when I came to the University of Maine. And I was so excited. And then I took organic chemistry, and I was like, well, vet school is not for me, but I love the dairy farm there. So I got a job here as a student employee, worked here for 4 years while I was in school. And then I found a career as a dairy consultant after school for a few years before returning to come back and help manage the place. So I've
Very
been
cool.
here full time for a little over 4 years now.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
So we are in the dairy barn at the college, and can you explain a little bit exactly where we're at? What barn are we in, and why is this barn significant for today?
So this barn here is what we call the livestock barn. So basically this houses all of our heifers and dry cows from basically once they get to graduate, we call it graduating kindergarten. Once they leave the calf barn, they get to come out here. They're group housed with their friends based on their sizes. So right now behind me in this pen is Tina, Winona, and all of their pen mates are over here in this next pen. So they're all roughly the same age and same size. And then as they grow, they'll move down along the line in the barn. So they'll be in the breeding age group. And then on the far end of this barn, we have what we call the close-up pen. So that's anybody that's going to be calving in the next 3 weeks. Um, so yeah, we call this the livestock barn. This is
Awesome.
typically where we house everybody during the winter and muddy months of the year.
Awesome. So we are where our adopted calves live and where they're currently living, and we can see a glimpse of them in the back. Can we get an update on how they're doing, Farmer Patricia? So I know back in their 6 month update, let me take a look here. So Winona was 471 pounds and 48 inches. How big and tall do you think she is now that we're about a month and a half later?
Yeah, so Winona's real close to 500 pounds. She's just shy of 500 pounds, and she's grown maybe an inch or so.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing with Tina. They're both kind of catching up, and at first Tina was way bigger as the calf, but now they're both pretty much on the same range here.
All right. So we'll probably say about 500, about maybe 500 pounds for Tina. And I think you guys said maybe a little under for Winona. Winona was a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit
Winona
lighter,
I
so
think was
maybe.
like 498 or something. So
Okay, cool. 498. And then maybe we'll give them each an inch. So Tina would be
yeah,
48 inches and Winona would be 49 inches. So for
yeah,
anyone graphing their calf growth on their chart, that way you've got those numbers to be able to put it on there as their 7.5, 8 month old height and weight. Now, I know they look really comfy and cozy back there. Is there any chance, Farmer Patricia, we can try and bring them up front to see them a little bit more as
of
we
course.
go through our chat?
Yeah.
Awesome. So right now they're just kind of like hanging out. And does this, pretty normal for them during the day to just hang out and sleep and do this all day?
Yeah. Yeah, this is just kind of how they like to spend their days, just kind of chewing their cud and hanging out. Winona, come on. Winona tends to be pretty lazy, just like her mom. She would rather stay back here. You want to stand up?
Honey, just we'll let you go back to sleep for, in 20 minutes if we can
Come
have
on.
you come give us some love. Oh my goodness. I've always loved her markings. I thought the way the black came across her eye was always just so cute.
Yes.
Oh, look at her.
Come back
Oh yeah, she's definitely getting big. My goodness. Oh, might get some water.
here.
Now, so what are they eating right now, Farmer Patricia? And maybe if you end up going to it, she might leave us. But what are they eating right now?
So they get a kind of a specific diet. We call it the heifer ration. So they're getting a mixture of grass silage and corn silage with some minerals and extra grain and some yummy treats in there. And then we do sprinkle some top dress grain on top of it for them so they can grow.
Cool. Now, how do you know this is what they need? Does anyone help you make this ration for them?
Yeah, so we do have a nutritionist that comes in monthly and he'll take forage samples and kind of calculate based on what the protein is in the grass and kind of based on our goals, how much weight we want them to gain, what the ration should look like.
Okay, so you work
Yeah.
with a nutritionist. I don't even have my own nutritionist, but cows apparently have their own nutritionist, which is pretty cool. And you said that they come and test the forages and stuff. Are they checking for like moisture, or is that well, just trying to understand what that actually means for everybody?
Yeah, so like fermented grass silage and corn silage basically is when we cut it fresh out in the field and then we pack it into a bunk and basically try to remove all of the oxygen in it so it kind of ferments kind of like kimchi or something like that. And then yeah, we'll just check what's called the dry matter. So basically, if you were to remove all the water, what's left for the cow to actually digest? And so we
Gotcha.
do check that weekly. And so sometimes that can change based on
Sure.
the field that we were in when we were chopping it at the time, how wet it was. So yeah, we
Gotcha.
just kind of track our intakes that way.
Yeah. So you guys are really, I mean, on the weekly adjusting their diet, making sure they're getting exactly what they need. I mean, these girls kind of sound like they're like a pro athlete. It sounds like they're getting a perfect diet to make sure they're growing big and strong. No wonder they're almost 500 pounds. They're growing really big. Now, that's maybe something to address here is being 500 pounds at almost, almost 8 months. Is that normal for a cow? Comparing it to humans. At 8 months, we certainly do not grow that fast. So is this normal for calves to be growing this quickly?
Yeah, it's pretty normal. We definitely at the university we focus a lot on genetics. We want to make sure that they come into the dairy barn to make as much milk as possible, and do, perform the best that they can. They are essentially athletes at that point. So we do really focus on trying to make sure that they get in their average daily gains and that they're growing well and at the pace they should. And it is a little bit, higher than your average Holstein farm for sure. But it's right on par for what the rest of our herd does
Sure.
routinely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness, she is going to give you all kinds of love today. See, she's happy that she got up from her nap. Now she's
Yeah.
getting all kinds of scratches. So let's see. We had some questions coming in from Patricia as we're hanging out with our friends here. We were curious, how did you decide on their names? I mean, I think they're pretty creative and cute. How do we pick their names?
So, our students in the dairy tech class typically get to name them after the first letter of their mom's name.
Oh,
So Winnie is Winona's mom. So when Winnie was getting ready to calve, the students would show up at the farm. We'd say, "Hey, she's gonna calve," and then they would come, and then the students assigned to Winnie would essentially get to vote on whatever name they wanted for her,
oh,
which she got to be Winona. There was a
oh,
lot of names thrown around, but we really like Winona. It fits her well.
that's
And
cute.
then Tina's mom is Raptor. Um, we have so many R cows right now at the farm, and we were running out of names for our cows. So we decided to change it up and we said Raptor's baby is going to be named with a T. So whenever she calves, you guys should think about a T name for her.
There
So
you go.
that's how we got Tina.
Nice. Well, I personally appreciate that Winona and Tina are two popular country artists, older country artists. So I thought I don't know if you did it on purpose, but I thought that was a cute correlation that happened with your calves too.
Sometimes we have trends during the semester. They'll pick different themes for the names of the calves, but these ones were kind of random this semester.
Oh, cute. Looks like she's a little bit shy, maybe. No, is that kind of their personalities? Want to talk a little bit about, what their personalities are?
Yeah, Tina actually is really not very shy at all. She was pestering us a lot earlier, but now that she's laid down, she's kind of over it. Winona's generally the shy one, but Tina's pretty chill. She's very friendly. She loves treats. Swedish fish are her favorite this semester. The kids have been
Oh
feeding
my
them a
goodness.
lot of treats.
Yeah, I can imagine with a lot of college students around, they probably like to spoil their girls and give
Yes.
them a little extra love, even though it's not normal for their diet.
Right.
If they like it, then we'll give them a little extra treat. They
Yeah,
look adorable.
exactly.
Let's see. We had a question from Miss Clemmer that her students were wondering, would like to know how they produce milk and where the milk goes after they produce milk.
Yeah. So once they have a baby, they start lactating, and then we will put them in the lactating barn with the rest of the mother cows so that they can start making milk, and then all of our milk gets shipped to Cabot Cheese. We're Agrimark farmers here, so we're part of the co-op. So the
Cool.
milk gets picked up on a truck every other day and brought down to the plant, and then it's turned into all the yummy Cabot products that everybody loves.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love that. So it's possible. I know there's lots of farms that shift to eventually get to Cabot, but it's possible that if they're eating Cabot cheese or any of the Cabot goodies, it could be coming from your farm, from
Yeah.
UMaine. So very cool. Let's see. We had another question. Oh, this is a great question. We can see they have tags in their ears. Can you talk about the importance of an ear tag and why you put tags in their ears?
Yeah. So all of our cows are registered registered Holsteins. So basically they get assigned an ID number. So Winona's ID number, she's number 510. That's specific to our herd. And then she has a registration number, which is also printed on this tag, including a premise ID and a USDA ID. So she's got this little white button tag over here. So basically, if we were to ever sell her or she ever escaped or got lost, somebody would be able to look up that number and know that she came from the University of Maine.
Cool.
So yeah,
Awesome.
and we customize our tags. And this year we really liked purple, so all of the calves have purple tags. So we can change the color of them, but we get their name printed on them and then all their ID numbers.
Very cool. I love the purple. I'll be honest, when I saw the tags come through from the pictures, I was like, ooh, purple is a good color. You don't
I,
often get to see that as an option. So
yeah,
cool. So you really use that to make sure you can identify who is who because I mean, we can kind of see the difference between the two of them. The one has, pretty distinct face markings, but there's a lot of animals on that farm. So you as a farmer and you have a lot of students coming in and out of that farm at all times. So I'm sure being able to manage all of those cows and keep each one straight, having that ear tag just helps identify who is who.
yes, for sure.
Awesome. Very cool. Oh, good question from Miss Caitlin Woods. They were wondering, what is the heaviest or how big can a cow get maybe when they're full grown? Yeah, any idea how heavy or how tall or anything?
Yeah, so our biggest cow, well, we've had a lot of really big cows over the year, but typically they average between like 1,400 and 1,700 pounds when they come into the dairy barn. And
Wow.
they'll fluctuate a little bit. Sometimes they'll get a little bit fatter when they're pregnant and weigh a little bit more, but they're typically somewhere around 14, 1,500 pounds when they're
Wow.
full grown.
So I mean, even though we think they're big now, they've got a lot of weight to put on yet in the next year and a half or so until they're
Yeah.
actually full grown. That's incredible. Let's see. Good question from Mrs. Mackenzie's class. They were wondering, how do you know when a female cow is pregnant? Interesting. So what do you do as a farmer to know and be able to monitor and track when they're pregnant?
Yeah, so we breed all of our cows using a method called AI. So artificial insemination. So basically, she'll tell us when she's ready to get pregnant, and then we'll breed her, and match a sire to her, and then the vet will come out and he will tell us if she's pregnant or not pregnant
Cool. So do
about a
they
month or so
use
later.
Sure. So do they do something similar? I mean, can they do something similar like an ultrasound for us as humans? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure the girl can feel it, but we go to a doctor and get an ultrasound. Can you do that to cows too?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So we'll do one ultrasound typically about 28 days after they get bred, and then we'll do another ultrasound with the vet probably around day 60 just to confirm and make sure that she doesn't have twins or something in there.
Very cool. Now you mentioned twins. Is it possible to have twins? Is it possible to have triplets? Is it usually one? What's the average?
Usually it's just one, but we do have we do have a few lines of our cows that are they're just prone to having twins. So we do have occasionally some sets of twins.
That's cool. That's very cool. Now, how often does a cow have a calf on an annual basis?
Typically every year, but it kind of depends, you know, based on the individual cow. So if she has some problems or something and maybe doesn't breed rack right away, she might have a calf a year and a half later. Um,
Gotcha.
but generally, we try to keep it one a year.
Okay, cool. So about one calf a year. Now, I think you had mentioned earlier that it's about 2 years old where they have their first calf and actually start producing that milk that we talked about. So then it's about one a year. So what's the average lifespan of a cow? So we can try and figure out about how many calves a cow has.
Yeah. So they typically will live, somewhere between like 8 to 12 years old. We would call an 8-year-old cow a fairly old cow. It kind of depends on the cow and how much milk she's producing, how well she kind of lives her life and stuff. We don't want to see them like degrade and kind of, not become productive anymore. So
Sure.
we try to keep them here as long as they can live and as long as they can be healthy and still
Sure.
maintain their calves and stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, and I think I've heard before in comparison, cows, like 1 year of a cow's life is about 10 years in human years, which makes sense. I would say at 2 years old, they're having their first baby, so about 20. But that makes sense why we probably don't see many 12-year-old cows, because that would mean she'd be about 120 in human
Yeah.
years. So,
Yeah, so that's why, an 8-year-old cow is a really old cow to us. So they're,
sure.
somewhere about 8 years is kind
Hmm.
of the max, but we do have a 12-year-old cow here right now, so
Yeah,
they definitely can live longer.
cool. Awesome. We've had a number of classes. Just curious about how many cows do you have on the farm altogether, from newborns all the way up to milking cows?
We have 62 right now total for the
Wow.
whole herd. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 62 animals. That's certainly a good chunk of animals to keep track of throughout the year. Do you know who your oldest cow is by chance?
Yeah, so our oldest cow is actually a research cow here at the farm. She's on retirement and her name is Blue. And
Oh,
she is 12 years old. She's a really big, tall, mostly black Holstein. She's very famous here at the farm.
oh, that's awesome. I love that. Now, you mentioned that I think you had said you mentioned Holsteins. Do you have other breeds, or are these all of you guys only have Holsteins at this farm?
We only have Holsteins at this farm right now. That's for research and teaching reasons. So a lot of farms will have mixed breeds and stuff like that. But we are just specifically registered Holsteins right now.
Sure. Okay, cool. Awesome. This is a really great question from Miss Ellis. Can you explain to us how cows digest their food? Because there's something a little special about dairy cows, right? Very different than humans. Can you talk a little bit about how they digest their food?
Yeah, so cows are what you call ruminants. So they have multiple stomachs. They actually have four stomachs. So they can digest fiber um, and forage, and people can't do that because we only have one stomach. So basically, they can swallow their food and then they can re-chew their food again and basically get way more nutrients than regular like monogastrics like people and pigs and stuff. So ruminants can really utilize a lot more different feeds and byproducts and things because they can just absorb all the nutrients because they're digesting for so much longer.
That is really cool. And so you mentioned something really unique in that they can eat things like byproducts. Can we just touch on that for a second? Do you guys have any byproducts in your TMR that we could talk about by any chance? I was just curious.
Yeah, so our grain mill, our local grain mill actually will get in different byproducts and stuff. So right now a popular one is called cookie meal. So and it's literally crushed up cookies from a cookie factory that they can't sell. And so sometimes like it depends on the time of year. So it like after Valentine's Day, it might be like the crushed little candy hearts and stuff. So that will get mixed into their meal for like a sugar and a starch source and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see the whole diet be put together because there's a lot of different citrus pulps and wheat middlings and things like that in it. Peanut.
She's
Sorry.
she's gonna eat your hair and your clothing.
I know.
No, that's really cool. So that's something that, like you said, maybe it's cookies that the packaging got messed up, or something slightly got mixed up with it that we as humans aren't going to be able to consume. And instead of sending it to a landfill or anything else, we're able to, like you said, crush it up, turn it into a food source, and then add a yummy sugary source of good nutrition for the cows and add it to their feed and have them turn it into energy, which is just amazing to me that cows are the ultimate upcyclers. They can turn our junk into good things. So thank you,
Yeah, it's
Winona
so
and
true.
Tina, for doing that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you might have half a shirt left by the end of
I
this
know.
chat. Just Oh my goodness. Let's see. We had a good question. We had actually have a number of people asking about just bedtime and sleeping. Do they have like a bedtime where you tell them, okay, it's time to sleep? Or do they have normal times when they go to bed, or how long do they sleep? Can you talk
Uh,
about that a little bit?
Yeah, so cows kind of sleep when and how they want, on and off all the time. I would say that our cows are probably they like to sleep between the hours of like midnight and 6 a.m. because that's generally when there's no students around to bug them. So they get to curl up on the comfy bedded pack behind me and get some rest. But yeah, they sleep a lot more than people do. They get 12, 14 hours of sleep a day.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Sounds like I could really live the life of being a dairy cow. All I do is hang out with my herd mates and eat and sleep. That sounds like
Yeah.
a good day to me. I don't know about you, Farmer Patricia. Let's see. Oh, good question from Mrs. Banglinger. They were wondering how much milk can one cow produce in a day? Hmm.
So the average Holstein produces about 90 pounds of milk a day. But our herd, like I said, we focus a little bit more on genetics and really trying to improve production. So our cows will definitely do well over 100 pounds of milk per day.
Wow, 100 pounds of milk a day. And for anyone that's trying to do that conversion, so there's 8 pounds in a gallon. So if there's 100 pounds and we're trying to figure out how many gallons, that's a little over 12 gallons of milk a day that one cow from their farm can produce and add to the Cabot Creamery goodness that comes out of there. So that's really cool. And you guys have what, about 30 milking cows, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, we have exactly 30 right now.
Nice. So if we take that times 30, we're looking at 375 gallons of milk a day that you guys are producing. Wow, that's incredible. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Let's see. Miss Gilbert was curious if there's any other animals on the farm. Are there other animals other than dairy cows?
Yeah, right now we have a equine science program, so we have 8 standardbred horses here for the students to learn and do research with. And eventually we'll be bringing in some more sheep and stuff, but right now it's just the horses and the dairy cows.
Very nice. Very cool. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. And I'm gonna check out one or two more questions here. Oh, we had some people just curious about their moms. How are their moms doing?
Oh, their moms are doing great. So Winnie and Raptor are thriving in the new dairy barn right now. They are making a lot of milk. Winnie is pregnant. So she's gonna be having hopefully another little sister to
Oh,
Winona and Raptor. The vet's gonna come next week and do some ultrasound. So we're really hoping that Raptor is also pregnant and gonna have another heifer calf as well. So
very
they're
cool.
doing really well.
Awesome. And I think you had mentioned that one of them might have a sibling nearby. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, so Tina's sister, Kiwi, is living in the breeding age pen over there. She's also pregnant right now, so Tina's
Oh.
going to be a big sister, which is
Oh, that's
pretty
so
cool.
exciting. Yeah, very, very cool. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. They have really been just loving that time with you today. Very clearly they know who takes care of them. They know who feeds them and loves them because they love you. Farmer Patricia, this has been so much fun getting to just see them be themselves for a little while and hang out with you. It sounds like you guys have put a lot of work into your farm and day in and day out, you and your students are working hard to take care of them. I'm curious to know, kind of wrap up here. What's your why? Why did you choose to do this as a career and specifically working at a school dairy? What's your why and why choose the dairy industry?
Yeah, so I really fell in love with the dairy industry when I came to college here and found out that there's just so many career paths and options in this industry. And I really love that I get to be an example to these college students in such a pivotal moment in their lives where they're trying to figure out what their next steps are. I love that I get to be an example and a leader in this industry to kind of show them like there are more careers than just vet school. And it's okay if you don't get into vet school the first time. You can go be a dairy consultant, you can go do various other things. So I get to be that connection point and that person that kind of shows them their future careers in the ag industry and that we can really step up and make a big difference. So
I
yeah,
love that.
that's why I love doing this.
I love that. I mean, your story and testimony is a great one to share with them, right? Like you thought vet school and being a vet is what you wanted, and life took you a different way, but you've been loving it. Now you've been here for 4 years, and this is where you feel like you're meant to be, which is really neat. So, thanks for sharing that and for sharing your passion with all these future students. Maybe some of our elementary and middle school students who are listening today might be want to aspire to be a vet or something else in the future. So maybe UMaine is where gonna be home for them someday, which would be really neat and could take
Yeah.
care of the future adopted calves. How cool would that be?
Yeah, that would
Uh,
be so cool.
I love that. So, Farmer Patricia, is there anything else you wanted to share with us today?
We're just so happy to be a part of this program. This has been really a fun and unique experience for us, and we hope to be able to continue to do it in the future.
Thank you so much, Farmer Patricia. It's been a pleasure having you in the program, and it's been so much fun following Winona and Tina. This has just been a joy to get to experience them and learn about where our milk comes from, right? And of course, as you mentioned, your milk is getting sent to Cabot. So by all means, please go feel free to support Cabot cheese and get all that yummy, delicious cheese and good dairy products. Include that in your daily diet. And of course, don't forget to sign up for the program next year. Registration opens May 1st, and we'll start the program in October for the next school year. Until then, all, we hope you have a wonderful summer. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.